What's up, fellas? In today's video, we're going to be doing our weekly roundup of all of the biggest NBA trade rumors that I can find this week. Some of these we've touched on a little bit in previous videos, but I run past those and then we get to some new ones later on in the video. As always, if you guys see some rumors throughout the week that you want me to look at, you can leave them in the comment section. You can send them to me on Twitter and Discord, wherever, and I'll take a look at them as we kind of do this each and every week. This is super fun for me. We get to kind of briefly touch on a ton of different rumors, and that's what we're going to be talking about in the first video of the day. But really quickly, before we get started, if you enjoy content like this, then consider subscribing. If you're new here, what's up? My name is Tucker. I upload NBA stuff on this channel twice a day, every single day. So if you're looking for the most consistent NBA content on YouTube, you've found it. You can also leave a like rating on the videos as well if you're enjoying them, and you can check me out at various socials at the bottom of the screen. Those are in a link tree down in the description below. With those things said, let's go ahead and get started with the 5 biggest rumors as of this week. So quickly, we'll go over 2 that I've talked about in videos recently. The first being Victor Oladipo being connected to the Golden State Warriors. Did a video on that yesterday. Golden State's interested in bringing in Oladipo. It doesn't seem like Wiseman nor the Minnesota pick is going to be involved here, but they could do Oubre in a future pick, or Wiggins, and PJ Tucker could be thrown in there. All those different types of things. I think it's pretty clear that the Rockets are sellers at this point as we get closer to the trade deadline, and I think that does include Oladipo, and reportedly the Warriors are interested in being a team to bring him in. The second set of rumors here, before we get to some of the new stuff, is the Boston Celtics being interested in acquiring basically half the league at this point. Like, there's reports about them, trying to go get Harrison Barnes and all these other guys, but the 2 bigger names were Jeremy Grant and Nikola Vucevic. Like I said, I did a video about that already. If you missed that, you can check that out from a handful of days ago. But that would involve them using the trade exception, trading away some younger players like Romeo Langford in the case of getting Vucevic, maybe some picks as well. And then those would each create really interesting lineup possibilities there in Boston. But with those covered, let's talk about some of the new ones. So we got a couple of Cleveland things this week. The first is really surprising from a compensation standpoint, and it's Larry Nance. I think Larry Nance is a fine player, a good high energy big that is in his prime, not too late into his career, kind of right in that sweet spot in terms of trade value, is on a fine, favorable contract. And it looks like Cleveland is going to be pretty willing to deal him. Now that they've got Jared Allen, who they're going to have to make a financial commitment to in the offseason anyway, I don't really think it makes sense to keep both Allen and Larry Nance on significant contracts. You kind of need to pick one, and seeing as how they literally just traded for Allen, and I think long-term he's going to be the better player, it makes sense to try and make a move here to get some value out of Larry Nance. Now, here's the interesting part. Reportedly, they're expecting a significant amount of compensation and already have one trade, on the table that has been offered to them that includes multiple first-round picks in exchange for Larry Nance. Now, I'd imagine that those are late first-round picks. It's like 2 late first-round picks, but still, I mean, if that's true, that's a lot of value for Larry Nance, in my opinion. Now, in terms of some teams that are interested, we've got Miami, Minnesota, Boston, Philly, New Orleans, and Dallas. 3 of those teams make sense, being the Heat, or 4 of those teams, being the Heat, Celtics, Sixers, and Mavs. I don't know why Minnesota or New Orleans are here, but those other 4 teams that are looking to, push towards things here in the playoffs and shore up their 5-man rotation, bringing in Larry Nance, I think makes sense. If the Cavs have a deal on the table that involves multiple first-round picks in exchange for Larry Nance, I'm not sure why they're not accepting it, so that makes me think that actually isn't true. We'll kind of see what ends up happening with Larry Nance as we get closer to the trade deadline. Next up now is another Cavs rumor here, and it relates to Kevin Love, and that is the fact that the Cavs are still open to trading Kevin Love. But I think we're going to continue to run into the same issue here with Cleveland. They still see Kevin Love as a positive asset. They still see him as someone that can really play basketball, can really help a contending team and still make a lot of shots for you, can be a really good offensive player. And other teams around the league see it as a favor to be taking on Kevin Love, and they feel like they should be getting assets just to take on the contract, whereas Cleveland thinks you should be giving up assets in order to get a player of Kevin Love's caliber. And until that changes on one side or the other, it's going to be really, really difficult for Kevin Love to be moved. Now, maybe ultimately he does get moved. Maybe Cleveland makes, a Larry Nance move, and then they decide, you know what, it's worth it to go ahead and dump Kevin Love as well. Maybe that's what ends up happening. But for the Love thing specifically, there are rumors that, teams are interested, that they could possibly move him. But again, until that mindset kind of changes on either side, I don't really see a way that Kevin Love gets moved before the trade deadline this season. Moving on now to some Orlando Magic stuff. As we're going to talk about in the second video of the day today, we're going to talk about the situations of 5 or 6 different teams that are all sellers. They all need to be trading away players. And one of those teams, in my opinion, is the Orlando Magic. They've had to deal with so many injury issues to this point, and I don't really see a reason to keep guys like Vucevic, Fournier, Terrence Ross, guys like that. That's what the rumors are about here is Evan Fournier and Terrence Ross. I don't really see a point in keeping those kinds of guys when your team's not going to be any good this year. Their trade value is only going to decline as they're getting older or their contracts expire. And you've got younger guys to build around once they get back and get healthy. So why not just commit to that younger era rather than continue to try and be something you're not, which is a good team right now. Assuming you're getting decent trade value back. Right now, the rumors are that Fournier is drawing some interest from Charlotte specifically, as well as other teams. Kind of an odd fit for me there. I know that Charlotte's had some issues with some of their guards being hurt, but they've got plenty of guards there. I'm not sure what the reasoning would be behind bringing in Evan Fournier into that equation, but that's the rumor. And then Terrence Ross going to the Nuggets. This is being reported by Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer, by the way. And I actually really like that Terrence Ross to the Nuggets thing, because I think one thing that Denver needs is a little bit more variance offensively. You know, having another guy that can just absolutely go off on a particular night, which I think Terrence Ross is a guy that can just randomly score 20 or 25 points if he hits a couple of threes one night, which I think they need. But they also just need guys that they can throw out there on the wing. I mean, we talked about this before the year. They really counted on, you know, Michael Porter Jr. having a really, really good season, and he's been fine, but from an availability standpoint, of course, it's been an issue. So, adding another wing, I think, is certainly a positive thing for Denver, and what they really need is someone that can shoot and can defend, but those guys are tough to come by. So ultimately, I don't think Terrence Ross would be a bad idea at all for Denver, and if I'm Orlando and I can get anything remotely close to significant value for anybody on my roster that's not like Markelle Fultz or Jonathan Isaac or someone like that, I would absolutely take a look at trying to move some of those guys. And then last up in the rumor category is PJ Tucker. There have been some really odd things coming out about PJ Tucker. I think one thing that's clear is Houston is not getting past this trade deadline without having traded PJ Tucker. He's going somewhere. The other thing that's pretty clear is the interest is relatively significant. I mean, this is a guy that's got significant playoff experience. Yes, he's older, but provides lineup versatility, you know, when he is playing well. And I think he's a guy that's going to attract a lot of interest from other teams. But the compensation required to get PJ Tucker, that is really fluctuating in a lot of different reports. There are some reports saying that they asked Miami for Duncan Robinson or Tyler Hero in exchange for PJ Tucker. I can't believe that that's actually true, but there are reports. And then there are others who are saying they're looking for a first or multiple firsts. I think ultimately it's pretty clear that PJ Tucker is a one-year guy at this point. I don't know that you can count on too much from him after this season. Someone will probably give up a late first or multiple seconds or something, but I don't think you're getting a nice young player in exchange for PJ Tucker. I don't think you're getting a really nice first round pick in exchange for PJ Tucker. I don't think anybody really is under that assumption, but we'll keep an eye on that in terms of how the compensation potentially works out there for Houston. So those are your biggest rumors of the week. As I said, the Oladipo Warriors thing, which we talked about, Jeremy Grant and Nikola Vucevic being linked to Boston, which we talked about. And then the new stuff for this video is Larry Nance, who I'm really, really interested in, because I do think that he can significantly help, specifically a team like Boston that really needs help at the 5 spot. Larry Nance is a good player. He's nothing crazy. He's not going to, make an all-star team or anything. But he can roll to the rim. He's a good athlete, can hit an occasional mid-range jump shot, is really active, defensively, and is kind of ideal for what Boston needs at this point, honestly. The Kevin Love thing has been rumored for years now. I was optimistic at last trade deadline that Kevin Love was actually going to get moved, and then he ended up not being moved. So I'm kind of now in just like, it happens, if it happens, it happens mode kind of right now for Kevin Love. Like I said, there's just the perspective on him as a quote unquote asset is wildly different, depending on which team you talk to, whether it's Cleveland or other teams around the league. So that situation is going to continue to be weird. The Magic selling off players, which again makes sense and kind of relates to the second video of the day today, with Fournier being linked to Charlotte and Terrence Ross being linked to Denver, which I really like. And then PJ Tucker, I believe, is absolutely getting moved. I would, if I was a gambling man, I would bet a lot on the fact that PJ Tucker will not be a member of the Houston Rockets past this deadline. He's an expiring contract. He's 35 years old. He has value to contenders. There's no reason to keep him on the roster any longer. So that's where I'm at with all these trade rumors. But that is going to be the end of the first video of the day, and I thank you all very much for watching. As I said in the beginning, my name is Tucker. If you missed any of my previous videos, then be sure to check out the boxes on screen. As I said, I upload twice a day, every single day, so it's the most consistent NBA content on YouTube. So if that's something you're looking for, then consider subscribing to the channel. You can leave a like rating on the video as well, and you check me out at various socials outside of these videos in that Linktree link down in the description below. With all those things said, hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Be on the lookout for the second video of the day. Later today, we're talking about some sellers as we lead up to the trade deadline. And yeah, I will see you all next time.